Hey, this is Allison from Mahalo Math. Welcome to our SAT Prep series. We're going to be working some problems, and working with me today is Chrissy and Trevor. So let's get started. Let's take a look at question number 13. We have this diagram here with two circles, and it says both circles have their centers at point O, and point A lies on segment OB. If OA is 3 and AB is 2, what is the ratio of the circumference of the smaller circle to the circumference of the larger circle? Okay, so that's a whole bunch of words. So let's see. Ultimately, what is it we're trying to find out?
The ratio of the circumference of the smaller circle to the circumference of the larger circle.
Right, so ultimately we need to find the circumference of both circles and then compare them, right? Okay, so what did they tell us? What do we know?
They told us did they tell us the radius of the smaller circle and then a portion of the larger circle, which you could add to the smaller circle? And then
Right, they said that OA is equal to 3, right? So that means that that radius, you're right, the radius of the smaller circle is 3. And then what else did they tell us? That AB is equal to what?
2.
2. So, but AB isn't the radius of the big circle, right? It's just that part, yeah? Okay, so if we know the radius of our smaller circle is equal to 3, what is the radius of our larger circle going to be? Anybody have an idea?
5.
Okay, why do you think it's 5?
I think because O is I think it says, O is the midpoint or for the circle?
Yeah, O is the center of the circle,
Is the
right?
center of the circle, of either circle.
Yeah, of both of them, yeah, exactly.
And the radius of the larger circle should be OB, which would be adding those two.
Right,
values.
so that means we have to travel 3 units from the center and then 2 more units. So the radius of the larger circle will be 3 plus 2, which is 5. Exactly. So now what do we have to do?
Use the circumference equation to find the radius, to find the circumference of both circles, and then make that ratio our answer.
Right. So what is the formula for circumference of a circle?
From our sheet, it's 2 pi r.
Okay, so the circumference is equal to 2 pi r, right? Okay, so what is the circumference of the smaller circle?
It is it 6 pi?
It's 2 times pi times 3, which is 6 pi, right? And what about the larger circle?
That would be 20 pi? Is it 20?
It's 2 times pi times 5, right?
Okay.
Which is 10 pi. Okay, so now what do you have to do?
We probably have to, I noticed that there's no pi's in the answers.
There are no pi's in the answers, that's correct.
So we probably have to greatest common factors, reduce
Well, what did they
fraction.
ask you? Did they ask you what the circumferences were, or did they ask you for something else?
It's the ratio of the circumferences.
Right, so how do you determine a ratio?
It says to put the smaller one first, so 6 over 10.
It's 6 pi over 10 pi then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happens to the pi's? We have one on the top and one on the bottom. So what happens to them?
Cancel.
They just cancel, right? So we just get 6 over 10. Now, is 6 over 10 one of our answers?
It is not.
It is not one of our answers. So why do you think that's not one of our answers?
We need to reduce it.
Yeah, we need to reduce it. Answers will always be in the lowest possible form. They won't ever give you an answer that can be reduced. So if you get to this point and you look and you say, oh no, I don't see the answer there, it doesn't mean your answer's wrong. Just take a look and see if you can reduce it. Don't give up and start redoing the whole problem because you're like so close. So, so what is 6 over 10 reduced to?
Is it 3? I would divide both by 2 and get 3 over 5.
Right, 3 over 5. And that is one of our answers, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's really important to do a couple things. It's always important to make sure you understand what you're being asked and that you answer that question. Because you do a lot of this work and sometimes it's like you do all this work and you think, well, I don't see that answer, so what's going on? So it's always good to go back and reread the problem and make sure that you answer the question that they ask you. And then if you get to this point like we did and we don't see our answer, take one more look and see if you can turn your answer into one that's presented to you. Because sometimes you're just one step away, but you can get really thrown off, especially when you're hurrying.
Yeah.
Make sense? Yep. Good. Thanks for learning with us today. If you'd like any more information on these topics, click on the links below. And if you have a specific request, please send it to requests@mahalo.com. We'll see you later.